Episode Revenant has brought a buttload of new guns in Act 1, and to be honest, it's kind of a tad overwhelming. Today, I thought it might be a good idea to go over not all the new guns, that would be madness, but ones that have caught my eye for one reason or another. Weapons that have interesting roles and are very likely going to be worth your and my time to hunt down a god roll for in either PvE or PvP. To be more specific, we're going to be looking at some key weapons from the following pools today: seasonal weapons, onslaught weapons, core activity weapons, trials weapons, and iron banner weapons. I left out dungeon loot because it isn't in the API yet, and I left out Garden of Salvation weapons because A, they're craftable, but mainly B, I may just save those each for their own video. Anyway, for now we'll just work with what we have in Act 1. Kicking things off with the ignition code, and yeah, there's a 90% chance I'm sure you already know the PvE god roll I'm eyeballing, but pretend it's a surprise and you have no idea. It'll be more fun that way. Ignition code is one of the few single-shot grenade launchers in the game capable of being reloaded by sliding, provided you have the perk Slide Shot. Fun fact, Ignition Code is actually the only grenade launcher in the game with Slide Shot. Others have Slideways. Either way, Slide Shot works insanely well whether you want to run it as a blinding grenade launcher or a damage-dealing grenade launcher, using either disorienting grenades or spike grenades respectively. And even though I'm really gunning for Slide Shot, I think Lead from Gold is a quality backup option if you don't mind reloading manually like a savage. I mean, after all, we do have rapid impacts on the artifact. We got decent options in column 4 too, by the way. Want some more solid damage to let you spam GL shots at bigger targets? Vorpal or even High Ground would be a-okay. Want some bonus handling to let you pop blinding grenades at an even faster rate? Try Frenzy. Honestly, your final column perk doesn't really matter as much as column 2 or 3 IMHO, so don't sweat it too much. Moving on, we come to the Vantage Point, the new seasonal arc pulse rifle. And while I'm not really a fan of adaptive frame pulse rifles in PvP, with one notable exception that we'll get to later, it's thankfully got some quality PvE options on the table. Heads up, by the way, when doing the Act 1 campaign, Ido will eventually reward you with a unique curated role featuring Volt Shot and Stats for All. This is the only way to acquire Volt Shot on this weapon, so maybe don't delete that role. If you did already, not the end of the world. You can probably get another curated role by firing up the campaign on a different character and just doing the quest over again. Anyway, there's other great roles on the Vantage Point too, but I'd have to say that if you're looking for a PvE role, Stats for All is likely the most worthwhile option in column 3. Getting a free boost to practically every weapon stat for just shooting 3 enemies is a great value perk for a pulse rifle. Unless you have a really consistent way of getting amplified, and then Eddy Current may be an option, but still. In column 4, One for All is a perk that synergizes really well with Stats for All. Shoot 3 enemies, boost your weapon stats, and get a damage buff. GG. You could also try out the new Jolting Feedback perk. Sustained damage will cause the target to be jolted, with less damage required as long as you're amplified. Jolt has become much stronger nowadays, with amplified synergizing quite well due to ionic trace creation from a certain popular build that I definitely don't use 99% of the time because I'm lazy. Anywho, next up is Liturgy, the first stasis double fire grenade launcher to be added into the game, and it brings perks that definitely do not disappoint. Coming in hot after a buff in the latest patch, Slideways now serves much closer to how Slide Shot feels. As mentioned earlier, being able to spam reload by just sliding around is always a great feeling on a grenade launcher, and Liturgy is no exception. Lead from Gold is a solid choice in column 4, but I think there's some other interesting stuff worth exploring. Chill Clip is really unique due to the double fire mechanics of this launcher. It seems to be oddly inconsistent though. Sometimes it can insta-freeze a target if both grenades hit, and other times it will instead slow the target and require a little push to actually freeze. Either way, Chill Clip in combination with disorienting grenades would likely be a very stellar combo. Your other, possibly more fun option is Chain Reaction, since a double fire GL will allow you to split and kill multiple enemies in order to proc multiple explosions off of one group of adds. Whether you want to use a grenade launcher as a support to the rest of your loadout or as a unique ad clear machine, Liturgy seems like it'll 100% be able to get the job done in PvE, and I'm looking forward to grinding out a good one. Next up, the Chroma Rush auto rifle, which, believe it or not, I'm interested in getting a particular PvE role for. Yeah, if you didn't hear, the fan favorite Chroma Rush is back, and actually looking pretty fresh thanks to the new origin trait Splicer Surge. Reloading this weapon after dealing damage grants a stacking reload speed and handling bonus until stowed. The fact that the effects linger until you stow or swap weapons is actually kind of awesome and can allow you to get some quality uptime on that trait. 720 RPM auto rifles have strong uptime on perks that require sustained fire or let you chain multiple kills, and Subsistence is a perfect example. 10% of our magazine loaded into the mag on every kill. Subsistence lets us keep holding the trigger like we all love to do with auto rifles. To take advantage of the fire rate upkeep, Kinetic Tremors is a great perk to have in the second column, creating shockwaves every time you hit 12 bullets on a target in PvE. Extremely easy to do considering the thing is a goddamn bullet hose. There are a few strong options in column 4 though, so feel free to try a few. Frenzy gives some nice stats as well as a small damage buff, but if you want to fully send into the damage buff, maybe give Rampage a try as well. The next weapon holds a really special place in my heart, Bygones. That's right, baby, the fan favorite gargantuan gambit gun. Even though I don't usually get down on adaptive frame pulse rifles, I was straight up addicted to Bygones back in the day, and I'm actually interested in both a PvE and PvP god roll for this thing. Starting with PvE, looking at column 3, we've got plenty to choose from, but I'm mainly interested in Shoot to Loot, always a handy perk to have in PvE, especially with that new damn modifier in Expert Onslaught with those filthy fake ammo bricks, good lord. We've also got Demolitionist, a classic PvE weapon perk to get easy reloads and free extra grenade energy on the regular. Damn fine options in column 4 as well. Kinetic Tremors is literally free extra damage output on mildly chunkier enemies, as well as some small free ad clear if any red bars wander into the ongoing death zone. Bygones is only one of 2 kinetic pulse rifles in the game capable of rolling Firefly, everybody's favorite head empty ad clear perk, dishing out free large explosions left and right. If you missed Into the Light and didn't get a Firefly Blast Furnace, Bygones is here to ease the pain. Finally, Frenzy is a much more passive bonus, but still high quality. We don't turn down free damage and handling in this dojo. Any of those perks work great, but my personal choice is looking like Shoot to Loot Kinetic Tremors, since the Tremors can actually pick up bricks on their own. For a PvP Bygones roll, there's a lot on the table in both columns. I'll give my final recommendation in a minute, but you have all of the following to choose from: Lone Wolf, Outlaw, Keep Away, To the Pain, Zen Moment, Rangefinder, Perpetual Motion, Kill Clip, Headseeker, Desperate Measures, Desperado, Eye of the Storm, and High Ground if you're a bit of a hipster. Call me a straight up lunatic, but I'm deeply curious about trying out a roll with both Under Pressure and Closing Time together. The game plan there being to intentionally drain the mag to about 50%, and then go free the beast on some poor jabroni with a highly snappy and accurate primary. Entirely possible that roll could be just a straight up meme, but that sure as hell ain't gonna stop me from trying it. Gun to my head though, I'm probably just gonna wind up trying to chase down Keep Away and Kill Clip, although I'd be just as happy with Zen Moment or Lone Wolf in column 3, and I'd also be happy with Desperate Measures in column 4. Returning after a long hiatus, the Trials rocket launcher Tomorrow's Answer is now one of a select few Void rocket launchers that we have to choose from. Although high impact frames definitely aren't the most desirable in PvE, Tomorrow's Answer instead heavily delivers on desirable perks. Envious Assassin allows for an overflow of rockets to dump during DPS, as well as quick reloads from a single kill. In a similar vein, Envious Arsenal is a new weapon perk that synergizes quite well with something we'll talk about in a second. Doing damage with each of your other 2 weapons will reload this rocket, which, although a little more annoying to proc, can work similarly to auto-loading holster when used correctly. Envious Arsenal will pair very well with the "You 100% knew it was coming" perk in the 4th column, Bait and Switch. Deal damage with all equipped weapons within a short time to give this weapon a damage boost. In short, every time you swap back to your other weapons to deal damage and re-proc Bait and Switch, you'll also be activating Envious Arsenal as well, meaning that even if your rocket was dry when you swapped off of it, it should be reloaded and ready to go when you swap back. If you prefer a simpler DPS rotation, you might find yourself liking Frenzy a little bit more, which, even though the damage buff is only 15%, it's probably less harder to keep active effective than bait and switch. Tomorrow's answer definitely stands as one of the better, if not the new best DPS Void Rocket for the time being. Moving right along, we have another Trials weapon you might want to grab for PvE, yesterday's question. Truth be told, I really don't like burst hand cannons in PvP, like at all, but in PvE they do quite well. Fourth time's the charm and Vorpal is a clear high tier combo that I think most players are probably going to target right away. And even though it recently took a damage nerf, the Lucky Pants would be a solid pairing for any PvE hunters out there. That ain't the only combo worth looking at though. It can also get Rapid Hit to give us some extra reload power, and even Dragonfly if you prefer to have a more general use gun. You've also got Volt Shot in column 4, which, sure, why the hell not? And yeah, I can't help but notice that Yesterday is the only hand cannon in the game capable of rolling Headseeker. Because we don't have access to the gun yet, I have no idea if that'll wind up being a thing or a straight up meme, but I'll try to keep you posted when the weapon drops. Moving on, we come to the new and improved Archon's Thunder, aka the Iron Banner machine gun. The original version of this gun was solar, but in Revenant it's now a stasis gun, which should fit in well with all the stasis buffs and new artifact mods. Coming with a slew of new perk options, Enlightened Action is an option that counteracts one of the main downsides of the high impact machine gun frame, which is long ass reload times. You also have the brand new perk Rhyme Stealer, which would be a really easy way to pile on free frost armor in PvE, especially when paired with Headstone in column 4. On the other hand, the classic Killing Tally is also available to let you keep a constant damage boost to clear adds and rooms even faster with a constant damage boost as long as you don't reload. You even have Onslaught in case you want to turn your machine gun into a faster archetype to get some quick mag dumps on the enemy. Archon's Thunder serves as a quality option to many stasis builds or just a fun general use machine gun. Next up, the Veleda-f, a brand new Hake sniper rifle, which believe it or not, I'm kinda interested in both a PvE and PvP role. Starting with PvE, Veleda-f has the brand new perk Withering Gaze. Aiming the weapon for a short period of time without firing grants the ability to weaken the next target. The timer will reset after firing or when you stop ADSing the gun. According to early reports on Withering Gaze, the weaken effect is around 15% and the duration is about 6 seconds. I need to be really clear here. You should not use this sniper as a singular DPS weapon, repeatedly hard-scoping enemies and tagging them with one weakening shot at a time. What you'd be way better off doing is using Withering Gaze for on-demand weakening at range before swapping to a heavy weapon to annihilate the now weakened target. Or if you're the type of player who enjoys challenging solo content, you could use Withering Gaze to great effect. For example, trying to solo flawless the new dungeon. With a Withering Gaze sniper, you now have a rock-solid way to apply weaken to a target basically whenever you want. Again, just make sure you're using this perk in tandem with a quality hard-hitting heavy weapon and aren't just hard-scoping and plinking away with just this sniper alone. On the PvP side, this may sound weird, but I'm genuinely interested in a role featuring both Snapshot in column 3 and the brand new Closing Time in column 4. Yeah, Snapshot is there, but I'm extremely curious how good Closing Time would be on a sniper when you have just one shot left in the mag. I'd also be happy to try out Lone Wolf and Closing Time to see if the aim assist buff on Lone Wolf is noticeable. Next up, the new comp shotgun Deadlock. If you missed out on the recent Compass Rose PvP shoddy roll, Deadlock is your shot at redemption. Nothing really fancy or complicated here. The golden combo of Threat Detector and Opening Shot is staring you right in the face. You also have Slide Shot, Slick Draw, and Lone Wolf in column 3, not to mention Closing Time in column 4. Even though Closing Time should be active on the regular in PvP, I'd be amazed if it were able to rival the power of Opening Shot, but I'm sure as hell going to try it out and will report back when I can. Next up, the Exuviae hand cannon, a name I'm sure I didn't just completely butcher. It's a 120 RPM hand cannon, a frame which I don't normally use in PvE, but I'm oddly tempted here due to the tag team combo of Rhyme Stealer and Headstone. Ultimately though, my interest for this hand cannon is mainly for PvP. To be fair, it does have a lot of competition from Something New, which is very similar on paper. However, Something New isn't capable of rolling Lone Wolf or Keep Away in column 3, whereas the Exuviae can. Paired together with Precision Instruments equipment in column 4, you'd be looking at a really good long-range hand cannon for trials or comp. Finally, a weapon I'm really excited about, Tinasha's Mastery, the first stasis rocket frame sidearm in the game. Even though rocket frame sidearms did catch a nerf lately with the overall reduction in ammo reserves, I still think they're fantastic in PvE. Unfortunately, Tinasha's does have a slightly weak column 3. Impulse Amplifier is a respectable option for sure though. Another perk that has me curious is Reverberation, which increases blast radius to the max after any kill. Allowing for better AoE coverage is crucial to allow for killing more enemies with less ammo, especially after the previously mentioned sidearm ammo nerfs. In column 4, we have a really interesting opportunity with Chill Clip. Allowing us to completely freeze an enemy in 2 shots with a rocket sidearm is crazy good, and I'm really looking forward to giving that a whirl to what I'm assuming will be great success, especially when paired with the current season artifact. You could also just go with Frenzy for that sweet bonus handling and extra damage. Finally, Surrounded means you can willingly toss yourself into any group of enemies to get a ridiculously good damage buff and clear a room very quickly, provided you have something like Devour active so you don't get your beehole torn from fighting so up close. Reminder, I will be live on Friday for the Day 1 contest dungeon and will have Twitch drops turned on. Hope to see you there, and in the meantime, if you have any other weapon rolls you're really looking forward to getting, let me know what they are and why down in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. Peace!